Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or at least as good as it can be, as unfortunately some of you may have heard at the beginning of or earlier this week, we lost a fairly monumental figure of the community in Broba, and not just our community. He was the voice of RHL. He was a pillar over there, and I know when he was brought kind of back into the fold here at MLE, it was a welcome reunion back in the last season. And a lot of people, myself included, are going to miss Broba for the positivity and the energy that he brought to Rocket League and just to the people around him. But unfortunately, he lost his battle with depression, like we said earlier this week. And
Lars, it is a hit not only to us on the production side, it's a hit to not only this community, but so many communities that he was a pillar, like you said, and it's truly was a voice that was iconic as some of the plays that it graced. And you think of a lot of the events and things that he did, and as a stat sheet, as a caster, that is an incredible career to have up until that point. But it's not the events, it's not the names of the games and the matches or the stakes that you remember. You remember the people and the lives that he touched, be it over those plays that he called or in those DMs that some of you had. And that is what makes this such a big loss. And truly, the best damn commentator in Rocket League.
Well, I think one of the big takeaways here is I don't want to focus for too long, because I know this is a painful point for a lot of us, is some of the pain is not, you're not alone in that. And to make sure that you have support and you have a community here in MLE and through more official channels to make sure that you are getting support and help for yourselves if you need it, or supporting the people around you. Reach out, say hi, make sure that everyone knows they're appreciated, because I mean, Broba is the kind of guy you wouldn't even know that he was struggling because of the level of positivity that he brought and energy that he brought. So make sure that you are getting help if you need it and checking in with the people around you. And speaking of helping the people around you, we do have a GoFundMe up we shouldn't say we, but there is a GoFundMe up for the funeral expenses for Broba. So make sure if you have even a couple of dollars to spare that you go ahead and contribute to that, because this is already a hard time for Broba's family and the people around him, and being saddled with those expenses is not what they need right now. What they need is love and support. So make sure if you get an opportunity that you go ahead and contribute to that GoFundMe. And just that last bit of support for Broba.
Welcome to the following presentation of Minor League Esports on the MLE Network.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minor League Esports, presented by APM Music for some Week 5 action. The Foundation League Shadow versus the Comets. I am Lars Newton. Joining me here in the casting booth is the one, the only, the Foof. I know we've already heard from once tonight, but now on to happier things. We have an exciting matchup here between the Shadow and Comets. Both these teams in playoff contention. The number 1 and number 4 teams currently on the scoreboard. Poof. You know what I'm going to ask.
You know, Lars.
Thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, hopes, and or dreams.
I can't even try and cut you off from doing it. I tried, but contextually they are contenders in the playoff. You're right. It's truly a really fun matchup. You have the number 1 and number 4 teams. You have the Comets coming in at 7 and 8, so right underneath that 500 record, looking to bump it above and get closer and closer to that top 3. And then looking across the pitch, it's a 12 and 3 Shadow team. They are coming in rolling and are hot right now. So you wonder if they can continue that momentum and look to continue to extend the lead instead of just sitting on it.
Well, here's the big thing about Foundation League and why it's so much fun to cast Foundation League is anything can happen.
Mixed bag.
Anything can happen. I know you could say that about every level of Rocket League, but in particular in Foundation League, and especially with this new format here in Season 12 of MLE, where we've added 3s and 2s, the teams have expanded significantly. You get much bigger teams, which means you have a lot more players, a lot more variety you can bring to the pitch in this matchup. So maybe we're going to get an interesting matchup here that it could be a little bit of an off game for the Shadow. It could be hot for the Comets, or it could be vice versa, or we could have a crazy, wacky series for you all around. So this would be really interesting, I think, to see how this one lines up. But I think the key, as always, is going to be setting the pace off the bat, getting out, getting aggressive, and leading with tons in speed and aggression.
About to say, you almost fooled me there, Lars. I thought you were going to say it was going to be the bumps and the demos that you always look for, being that physical player yourself. I think it's game 1 is going to be the big tone setter, and so whoever gets that, but we're going to throw it up to Broba here and give him the first call.
As always, our ever grateful thanks to Brova for taking the call to lead us off here tonight on MLE 1 for this matchup between the Shadow and the Comets. But as you can see here, the Shadow off to a hot start, getting that first goal early in the series here. That's exactly the start we needed to see out of either of these teams, that speed, that aggression, that early lead. But now it's on the Comets to try to make a way to come back in this game.
Well, Swanson has a lot of free real estate. Just put the ball on, and he puts it far post, but Logic cannot dig it out. Swanson tying it up for the Comets. My hands are on my head, Lars. He put it to the defender, just tantalizing, but it wasn't saved.
Oh, that is the classic going for boost when you need to be sitting home at the net, maybe with a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra positioning that was savable, but Logic just can't quite get back in time. Swanson able to clean that one up and tie this before we even have 60 seconds gone between these two teams.
Like you said, only 60 seconds have gone, but that is 2 goals to be scored already, Lars. So both teams deadlocked once again. The ball sitting on this pink side. The Comets getting some control here. Swanson popping it up. He's got Logic on the backboard. That's a lot of free real estate again, but this time Logic ready for it, denying it. A big-time save there, but a big-time dunk at midfield. Mighty seeing the spot and putting it in.
This is what happens when you give the Shadow just a little bit more time to process this play. Logic sits home, sits on the backboard, gets the clear to the wall, and Mighty has an excellent read on the bounce to send that one accurately downfield. That's something that makes players dangerous, that ability to put shots on net from anywhere on the field. Shadow making a strong argument so far, just 90 seconds into game number 1.
Well, it is truly a top-tier matchup between both these teams. Both offenses humming right now, Lars. We're not even halfway. We are 3 goals scored, and neither team looking to slow down. A lot of twos action, a lot of passing back and forth, but only 1 assist, so I want to see what team decides. Never mind, I guess solo plays could be the key as Logic has a big-time breakaway. The near post touch, and that's going to sneak its way in. Logic with the soft doink off of that front of the Octane.
Very well placed. You see this nice flat angle here. That's a tough angle to cut, and I was expecting Logic, recognizing that returning defender, to put this one off the back wall so they could clean it up with a relatively easy shot in front of the net. But no, they're just going to thread the needle between post and defender to extend that lead out to 2.
Logic and the Shadows sitting back now. They are up 2, like you said. sitting comfortably right now, a big-time 50, putting the pressure back onto the Comets. The Comets now back, giving up pressure to this Shadow team, but King Panda getting a big-time 50 there, putting the pressure back on. A miss there, but Swanson backing his teammate up. Now you have both of the pink players, but an overrun here from Logic. Going to make it a dangerous spot, but a good clear to push it into the corner and give him some room.
Some quick back and forth here. Something that we haven't seen develop a lot of so far is those midfield challenges, that midfield presence that's so key to setting up an offensive rotation. Both teams giving a lot of space and kind of dump this ball down as that's a big miss from Logic in front of the net, and Swanson will find their second.
Lars, good things happen when you put the ball on target, and that's exactly what King Panda did. He put it out behind that last defender, and technically the goal's secure coming in from Swanson, but it is enough. And I'll agree with you, Twitch chat. The Swan is taking flight here in the Comets, back within one. King Panda now running up the back. He's going to let it roll here. An interesting defensive strategy. He hands it off to Mighty. Mighty being strong at midfield. If you leave that ball in front of your net, Lars, it is an easy enough goal, and Logic takes advantage of it.
Oh, wow. This is, I don't know how many times I could say it. It's not enough to just stop the shot. You have to clear the shooting lane. And right here, there wasn't even a shot to stop in the first place. That one, a great pass out into the mid. It rolls just perfectly in front of the net. A good distance to give that attacker space to pick a shot on the net, but not so far that it's an extra challenging shot. And Mighty will find the top shelf to extend that lead back to 3.
See, Lars, my brain hurts because you were talking about all the space for this shooter, and that's exactly what Mighty had again. There is so much room, and I thought maybe he's just, 200 IQ calling the replay and calling the game at the same time, Lars. Impeccable.
Well, the Shadow in rare form tonight, doing a great job getting off to a start here. Mighty with a little bit of an awkward touch. Sends that one down to Swanson, who's trying to control this ball clear, and I like to see it out of the comments. We criticized a little bit earlier about that kind of throw it down and then chase it, but right now they're trying to keep it close, and here's an opportunity for King Panda, touched away by Logic.
I like the bump there coming out from Panda, trying to put the pressure onto this Shadow squad. They have a 3-goal advantage, but when you start to sit back on your haunches and give up more and more ball pressure to the other team, you start to bend on that defensive side. And Mighty doing some things of his own, but it's a solo play once again. Logic all the way back here, but this is an okay spot if you're up 3 goals. You have a lot of room and a couple to give up, so you can spread the ball out. Mighty getting the savior medal there. Logic colliding with King Panda, the ball bouncing out at midfield, so both teams backing off here. No, Swanson pressures it, has a one-on-one opportunity, but once again, Logic, that last remaining defender, enough to stall this one out.
We're finally starting to see some of that midfield challenge. Comets did a good job for an extended period of time containing that ball down in the Shadow end of the field. And yes, the Shadow are up by 3 goals right now, and that puts them in a very solid spot, especially as we tick through these last 53 seconds on the clock. But they are allowing the Comets to equal them in shots on net. Panda, bar down, will bring it within 2.
You said it, equaling the shots on net, but not the goals, and you kind of hold your breath a little bit because there's 46 seconds left, Lars. If they can score in about the next 25 to 20 seconds, I really like their chances of tying this one up. So it's going to be up to the Comets to get a good kickoff here where it's going to go up to them. So if they can find some pressure here, get a controlled offense, I like the play. But Mighty getting a mighty touch there, putting it back. Now he's got a near post opportunity. That's an open net. You can't give those to Mighty. Another goal here for the Shadow.
Well placed. The attempt on the clear here from King Panda, just not quite enough. It's an awkward touch in the corner. Admittedly, that's a difficult touch to make, but it's the exact touch that Mighty needed, dropping that one off the wall, putting it into a position where that's a shootable ball, and then Mighty finds that near corner. Very difficult to dive across and save. The Shadow look to have secured game number 1, but some tenuousness in the defensive end as they allow the Comets to hang when it comes to shot count and really, in a lot of ways, out-pressure this Shadow team.
The pressure has been relentless from the Shadow, but at some points they kind of back off and collect their thoughts, kind of recalibrate the offense here, Lars. It comes in, it's like a wave almost, but it has been effective almost every time. 6 big goals, and you cannot allow 6 goals and expect to come away with a win as Swanson gets the save there, denying that 7th. The Shadow looking for another one. Mighty, though, puts this one down, and the Shadow take game 1.
That's a commanding lead out of the Shadow, and they did a good job of being effective in their shooting opportunities. Obviously, similar number of shots on net, only 2 more than the Comets, but they walk away with double the number of goals, just being more efficient, more effective, and mostly in kind of transition plays or just quick kind of snaps on the ball, doing a good job of pressuring downfield, jumping on opportunities as they open up. That being said, I've hit it before. I will hit it again. They allowed the Comets to hang in offensive pressure. They allowed the Comets to spend more time in the offensive end than we saw the Shadows able to do consistently. That's a dangerous space to allow your opponent. It
is. It's that ebb and flow of the game, Lars. And we started talking a little bit. It's that feeling of them pushing forward and then pulling all the way back. Like, it's a wave, really. It's that wave of going out and then coming back in. And sometimes the really good defenses don't even look like that. They're able to rotate on that offensive end, can get the pressure, get the boost, and rotate out, not all the way out to midfield, but rotate on the ball. But when you rotate all the way back to the net, you give up so much free real estate that they were opportunistic when they got their chances with it, and so were the Comets. So I want to see the Comets take it.
Yeah, the Comets getting good opportunities. They just need to find a way to convert on these. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the thing.
Do it.
Get physical, get aggressive, and take advantage of the space as well. One of the other things I like to see out of the Comets is they did a good job of, when they had opportunities, slowing the ball down, trying to keep that ball close, and not just banging it away. A little bit of lacking in the mechanical aspect of that execution, but the idea is there, and I love to see it.
Oh, I like this touch here from Swanson. Panda can't find the accurate touch, though, that near post, begging but unable to find anything. Panda sent to the third row. See you later, says Logic. Now Logic doing a good job of allowing that ball to fall to Mighty. King Panda putting the pressure back on. That near post opportunity turned away by that wall. A demo from Swanson. The Comets, they heard you, Lars. They are out in force and are trying to just bully their way into the net.
Well, doing a good job in the first 30 seconds to bring the majority of pressure. This one left out in front of the net, but there's no one there from the Shadow to effectively pressure. And Swanson will pick up a save and a clear in the process. Now has boost, ball, and control. This one towards the net, but doesn't quite find the double touch. So far, coming up on a minute gone in game number 1, and it's been kind of the Comets show. One quick opportunity out of the Shadow, but for the most part, Comets pressure, Comets shots.
It has been Comets pressure and Comets shots. That's a story of the first minute in game 2, Lars. And now Swanson putting this pressure back on. And I want to go back to that offensive opportunity that Shadow had. You said there wasn't a shooter there. You're right. It was because King Panda was actually boxing him out. This isn't hoops, but he's doing such a great job of working the paint, and a shot comes on, but turned away by the wall once again. Now it's going to be off the side ball here. A dangerous touch from Panda to push it out midfield. The Shadow kind of given some pressure here. Mighty catches it at midfield, but not a favorable touch. A demo comes through from Logic. Now it's a 2-on-1. Panda too aggressive, but got the demo. Swanson spawns back in, and that is perfectly timed. It was a trade, 1-for-1. Respawn, get the save.
Only unfortunate thing here for the Comets is Swanson in that save does keep the ball out of their net, which is absolutely the right move, but doesn't pick up boost in the process. Don't blame them. They continue to follow that ball. Another great awareness positioning out of Swanson to clear that one away. The Comets' mental game right now is very, very solid. They're making the correct decisions, but Logic, doesn't quite find the touch. That's a golden opportunity that it looks like could be a decision maker here in game number 2.
Now you have a double commit from the Comets. It's back and forth, back and forth. A misread from Mighty finds the ball to this back end of the Shadow net. Now, falling all the way across the pitch. Swanson trying to stay on it here. Low boost, runs a little bit too high on the wall. Mighty has it on the Octane, a good 50 here, puts it back. Now the Shadow, counterattack opportunity. It's rolling towards that net. Swanson, though, very good read on that little bit of an angle outside of the net. A dunk coming from Logic to put it back on. Panda collecting the boost, collecting some wherewithal, getting a soft touch, but not the one he wanted. A double from the Shadow. A big opportunity. Swanson, nothing but free real estate, but too high, jumping a little late.
Back and forth is right. This is a track meet in a different way. Game number 1 was, 9 goals in game number 1. Now, as we get through the majority of game number 2, 3 minutes gone, and there's nothing on the scoreboard, but not for lack of effort. Both these teams opening up opportunities, finding a way to generate shooting lanes and generate shooting opportunities. They just haven't been able to capitalize and finish off. That last little touch as Panda gets a big dunk to prevent the clear, at least delay the pain, and Swanson will clean this one back up. Back and forth we go through the corner this time as the Comets try to just get this one in front of the net so they can follow through with a shot.
The best thing I can like attest my mind to this, Lars, is think of like an old cartoon where the two characters, one is the Comets, one's the Shadow, and they're trying to open a letter and they're taking turns at it. One uses scissors and it doesn't work. One uses a knife and it doesn't work. One uses a chainsaw and it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. The offenses will not work. The nets have been there. The teams have been there. The players have been there, but the goals are still at 0. Swanson, a good 50 there from Mighty. That was a necessary read because both Shadows players were up. Now they have a chance in the corner trying to find his logic, but King Panda, another solid 50, denying it. Mighty, that is up, that is dangerous, but it is turned away again by Swanson.
What a read off the back wall. It's a difficult read to time and to get away from the front of that net, but Swanson does an excellent job of getting up there aggressively. That's something that's so critical, and it's hard to execute even at higher levels of this game, is to make that aggressive play off the back wall, but Mighty will find this one to open up the score line for the Shadow.
Mighty playing spoiler there, using that spoiler to just tap it over that Comet defender. Panda is up, but that Finnick not long or tall enough, and so a great job by Mighty to put the Shadow back up by 1.
40 seconds remain on the clock for the Comets to bring this one back and tie this series. There's a big shot. That's off the crossbar and read by Swanson. We're tied late in game number 2.
It is punch, counter punch. It was pressure to pressure to pressure to pressure. Oh, you scored? No, we can score. Swanson putting in an exclamation point goal here for the Comets. They will not go away. 34 seconds left on this kickoff. I want to see who gains this momentum here. It rolls back towards this Comet side. Mighty's on it, but can't get the read. Both Comets players in the corner as the clock goes under 30 seconds. Mighty with a dunk there, but it is too high and too far across the pitch. The Shadow now just kind of cultivating, trying to find anything growing on this side. Any more pressure as Mighty trying to pre-jump that one, can't find it. Logic still has the pressure on it. Goes past Swanson. Swanson overcommits, but rotating near post, finding it as Panda, and only 5 seconds left in this game.
We may see overtime here in game number 2 as King Panda makes one last attempt. Logic plays this one into the wall, and it doesn't fall yet. King Panda gets a demo that will allow this ball to fall, and overtime in game 2. We said this could be a close matchup. We said this could be competitive, and it could be wild, and so far that holds true.
You rarely see teams bounce back from a multiple goal loss to force overtime in a way such as that, where they were down in only 30 seconds left, but Swanson can't get there. Honor to be cut off like this is cut off for the Comets. A 2-1 win here in overtime.
Well, we see overtime, but it's a brief one as Logic beats out King Panda over the top, and Swanson just doesn't quite have the angle to at least throw that one off of the post. But a hard-fought victory out of the Shadow. It was back and forth. It was dangerous, both ends of the ball. It took so much just to eke out a single goal. But at the end of the day, the Shadow find a way to do it a second time early in overtime.
They had more consistent and effective pressure, 6-2 on the shots. But you look at it, you're like, oh, the Comets, they shot 50%. That's a heck of a game if you're thinking statistically. But with only 2 shots, you kind of give up more and more pressure, and you're not finding consistent touches either off the backboard or off of your opponent's cars. That is what the Shadow did, and that is how they capitalized in the end, and that's how they won in overtime in 13 seconds.
Yeah, Shadow did a good job of punishing openings and really bringing pressure down on the net. And at the end of the day, yes, Comets, like you said, 50% shooting, but that only matters if you're putting up enough shots to make that number matter. Right now, 2 shots on net just doesn't do it for me. I need to see them get some of that magic, some of that pressure from game number 1. They were in double-digit shots in game number 1. Need to see that come back, plus this ability to execute on opportunities, and the Comets are in golden territory.
Well, it's starting to get in this golden territory. If you are the Shadow, they are 1 game away from taking this series. We play all 5 here in MLE, so, you know, both of these teams in this hot playoff hunt, 1-4 right now, so every game is important. The Shadow starting to extend this lead. They're at their 14th win, if I remember correctly, whereas the Comets now 7-10. They need to win out to go back to even.
Yeah, and that's critical, too, because the Comets are on the bubble of playoff contention. They drop 1 more spot, and granted, we're reasonably early in the season. There's plenty of time to bring it back. But if they drop 1 more spot, that does take them out of playoff contention, at least for now, as the Comets will find the first real attempt of the match. But this one's sent all the way back down the other way. Swanson does a great job of getting back and pitching that ball clear to buy some breathing room on the side of the Comets.
Oh, an over-aggressive push there from Logic. I want to see if it's punished here. Swanson trying to catch this. A late jump, but a big-time backflip into it. Logic, though, sneaking it past that last player. He's going to get it past someone again. Logic now a 2-on-1 opportunity, but turned away in the last moment by King Panda. King Panda beating the side here, Mighty, putting it over to Swanson. Swanson throws it up. He's got Panda. Panda's got the 100 boosts. It's going to be an attempt here, but that Finnick a little bit too unruly at midfield. Mighty putting the soft touch down for his team, and he's got Logic, that shot coming through, but Swanson standing tall, near post denying it, but Mighty in the shadow will not be dissuaded. Mighty all by himself, but not fast enough. It couldn't find a way. A minute in, the shadow are knocking, but they cannot find a way in.
I've extolled enough already on the Comets and what I like about them, but I'm going to do it again. The decision-making, the awareness. It's so wonderful to see these Comets because it exemplifies a much higher level of play than you typically expect for Foundation League. They're looking for upfield passes. It's not, oh, I'm ahead of the ball, let me panic and run back. They're continuing to pursue the ball on zero boost as that one. Logic will find the net, open it up for the shadow yet again.
And I want to talk about it here. Logic putting it back post. A really good read to put it behind the goalkeeper. That's baiting that goalkeeper near post, and then putting it just far enough out of their reach behind their car. That is nigh impossible save if you're going that fast.
Yeah, if you carry that momentum, we talk about momentum so much. If you carry that momentum and the ball ends up behind you, you're dead to rights. You can't stop, turn around, and set that momentum going back the other way fast enough to get that one back. But the Comets will be looking to get one back here as they bring offensive pressure, at least through the corner. And now King Panda with a little bit of space doesn't turn quite in time to make use of it, but does win the 50. Here's an opportunity. And Mighty clears this one away. And a quick back and forth here. Comets again finding a way to generate offensive pressure, keep this ball down in the shadow end, but not quite able to get it in front of the net and finish.
It is efficiency, Lars. I want to see them turn it in. They get to the site. They have everything ready, but they don't turn the assignment in. They cannot get the credit for it. They take the shots. They take the passes. They take the control, but they just have none of the goals to show for it here as Mighty denies it again. But the thing is, Lars, usually the Shadow get a goal and the Comets have scored right back. There were 2 opportunities, but this time the Shadow not giving an inch. They are going to be forced out of their own net because they are defending this 1-goal lead and this 2-game lead in the series.
Yeah, the difference maker here, I believe, is where the Comets have the mental game down fairly solid. They're making good decisions. They're making good challenges. The Shadow just seemed to be a little bit more fast. A little bit faster, excuse me. A little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive, and a little bit quicker. You know, the difference between fast and quick. Fast, how the top speed you're running. Quick is how quickly you can change speeds. And the Shadow's doing it so well. They're getting aggressive in the face of Comets. They're not giving them space to try to experiment with some of these heads-up plays.
Well, I want to see the Comets get some more control because once they get the boost control, they get the ball control. Never mind, it's rolling behind them. They have looked so much stronger. But they've kind of struggled to get that connection back in this game. Swanson, the last man back here, has to get the save. That soft touchdown. A save is one thing. A clear is something else. A save your medal, but that won't save your game. Logic puts the Shadow up by 2.
Goal number 1 of this series. Goal number 1 of this series. I said it's not enough to stop the ball. You have to clear the shooting lane. And unfortunately, yes, there is a save in front of the net, but that ball is left directly in front of the net. That is wide open territory. It's free real estate here. But the Comets miss out on some of their own. They don't find a way to bring this one back within 1. And now, Shadow looking to make a control play, content to make slower plays up the field now and just burn time off the clock.
I mean, soaring, arcing, and flying through the air are the Comets, but they don't find their mark. Neither does Mighty. That near post play turned away, not by a defender, but by the post. Logic, too much space. A big-time dunk. The ball is back up. Mighty's there. The soft touch on the Octane. No, it's too unruly. He's up too quick. Logic has the pressure back on for the Shadow. The ball bouncing on this Octane. He's got it right underneath the halo, but ends up handing the possession back to Swanson. The Comets now on the attack.
They need to find a way to make these attacks count quickly as they haven't found a way to make a lot of shots on net happen. Currently, 7 for the Shadow, only 3 for the Comets, getting turned away and clear. Here's one all the way downfield. It's off the post, and the missed read doesn't quite find a way to finish this one off, and it will be Logic to turn this back and burn another 10 seconds easily off the clock.
Well, that is something that you're going to want back as as a shot, but that is a very good opportunity that the Comets just had, and that is heartwarming to see. Now Swanson's got an open net, but he can't get there in time. I don't know if there was a boost issue. I'm going to go over to him. Yes, there's no boost. That's why he couldn't get there. Didn't pick up any of the pads on the rotation there. Another opportunity turned away just from misfortune or just misplay on the Comets' end, and a 2-0 lead turns the 2-0 series lead into a 3-0 for the Shadow, and they are firmly in control of this.
Well, I would like to return to something I was talking about earlier and really kind of finish out what I was saying about the Comets and the things that they're doing right, because I think there's a lot to talk about here, and it's the decision-making. It's the higher-level gameplay awareness that we're seeing out of them, going upfield, not panicking because they're ahead of the ball and scrambling back to net. Grabbing some boost, looking for that upfield pass. Having zero boost and sticking with the ball. It's very common for players, even at higher levels, to say, hey, I have zero boost. All right, I'm done. I'm leaving. But if it's your turn, if it's your time to go for the ball, it is your time to go for the ball. No matter how much boost you have to chase that down. And then last, they're doing a good job of trying to keep the ball close and not panic on it. They just are getting beat out in mechanics and speed by this Shadow team.
It is truly coming all the way to the end, but just not being enough right now. The Shadow have looked just in control. And for lack of a better term, they are in control of the series. They were in control of the past 3 games. When they want pressure, they have it. When they want to play defense, they play it. When they want to take shots, guess what, Lars? They take him. And so the Comets kind of trying to find that ebb and flow of the game, but have not been able to find consistency, be it in that physicality. They find bumps, they find demos, but can't score of it. In the shots, some games they have a lot of shots, and some they back off. Some games they're shooting lights out, and some they can't find an in. It's just that consistency, and like you said, getting the finishing touches on those thoughts and mechanics.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do need to continue to push speed, which is going to lead to more inconsistency. But with the way the Shadow's playing right now, you have to match that level of speed. And right now, that's leading to these kind of mistakes, the missed balls, the rolling whiffs that we're seeing out of the Comets. They got to find a way to find a balance, hit the brakes, slow it down, grab the ball, and then crank that speed and get that aggression out.
So are we knocking it up to 11 now, Lars? Is that the speed? That's what Swanson's trying to do, the soft touch off of the Finnick. That's both of the pink Finnicks here. Off the crossbar! Oh, humanity! Oh, it is pain. Despair if you're so inclined, but the Comets turned away, not by a defender, but the crossbar. Logic getting a save there, the ball bouncing back. Comets really wishing that one back.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I feel that pain in my bones of I need to get this opportunity quickly, and just a little bit too quick, but too quick for Mighty is King Panda on the transition, and the Comets find, I believe, their first lead of the series.
The Comets doing enough. King Panda. Lackadaisical defense. Free real estate, Lars. That is an open net, and it's the hardest shot hitting Rocket League, but that looked like a putt. Just, the soft putt knocking it in. Well, I rarely see those anymore. It was a true stalemate on the kickoff, and it went straight up. I love those because they're so fun when you see people cheat, because everyone kind of stops for a minute, but the Shadow are not stopping as Swanson has to make another diving save. Panda is up, a great read here, but Logic up in time. That Octane doing work on the back end, but nothing friendly about that fire. A team bump in the corner, the ball bouncing back down. King Panda now up, but not enough boost. I don't know if he realized it too late, but Swanson putting the soft patch on Logic. Caught in his own near post, but he's gonna get the save for it. Somehow the Comets are turned away, but the Shadow can't put it back onto that chance.
You could see the gears ticking over in King Panda's head as they rolled that back wall, seeing Swanson come up with the ball, seeing they had that advantage in front of the net. But speaking of advantages in front of the net, Swanson extends the lead to 2.
You took the words out of my mouth. Speaking of the advantages, he caught Mighty a little bit too far off the ball. And once again, hey, the defender was on the left side before. Now he's on the right side. It still doesn't matter. Open net, put it in. A great job of taking advantage of an unforced error. The Comets up 2.
Comets seem to have found the magic that they needed earlier in this series, and unfortunately they don't find it in time to try to make a run for that 500 record. But they will find it in time to try to salvage 2 games out of this series. But to do that, first they have to win this one. 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Shadow, we've seen them be deadly. We've seen them be accurate. We've seen them be aggressive. And there's a shot on net, touched away by Swanson. Is on the Comets to try to not only hold this lead, but maybe extend it out a little bit, get some more comfort room. 2 goals. What do they say? 2 is 1, 1 is none, and a 1-goal lead evaporates very, very quickly. Get a lead. Run away with this game, Comets.
Well, King Panda getting the physical play here for the Comets as they were trying to find some control in that shadow in. Mighty trying what they can, but he's a lone shadow right now. There was no one else to help him, putting it off the backward bump for his troubles, but Logic comes in, dunking it off of, I believe those are the white Zombas, and just kind of tapping it in off of those tires.
Logic just a little bit too quick for this clear. Gets that one over the top of Swanson and finds a way to cut that lead in half. This is danger territory for the Comets. They had a 2-goal lead. They had a buffer. No longer. 1 goal can happen in as little as 2 seconds here in Rocket League, and that's all it's going to take for the Shadow to try to tie this one back up and at least force an overtime, if not win outright.
Well, Lars, in Rocket League, you don't get halftime. There's no break. There's no stoppage. But we hit halftime, and the game has seemingly reset. The Shadow putting the pressure back on. They have adjusted. They got the goal. And up until that point, they were on this Comet side. Swanson finally sneaking it past. Mighty, though, a very good read off the backboard. He's got to make another one here. Dunking it off of Swanson. Now the Shadows, a 2-on-1 opportunity. Running underneath. They're going to collect the boost here. The soft touch looking mid for a teammate. No. Too overzealous. Ended up running underneath the ball. Logic, a great flip into it. Putting it on Swanson. Has to get a savior medal here. Trying to keep his team up there. Only up 1 goal as we get to the minute-and-a-half mark.
Oh, here's that Swanson that we talked about earlier, staying behind that ball, trying to bait out a 50. Unfortunately, they just touched it a little bit too far away. The Shadow will jump on that opportunity to clear. Means both teams right now struggling a little bit to maintain boost in the tank. There's no beans to be found. They need to find a way to try to settle that, get a little bit better pathing, a little bit better boost economy to try to find a way to use that boost to finish on some of these opportunities that we're seeing.
Well, Comets in control right now, as much as control as they've been in. A near post play turned away by the Shadow that was trying to find it with Swanson. King Panda now going the same way. They are trying to force a square peg into a triangle hole, and you know what? It might work. They're going to try it again, but Mighty in the corner this time. They're reading the playbook left to right. So is Mighty. Now he's going left to right. He's got to find the pass here. Logic can't get there in time. Swanson denies it, but is bumping someone into it. Logic shooting that on. Swanson turning it away again. The Comets, 30 seconds between them and a game win.
The Comets in this game have done a great job of keeping the ball in the corner, but on both ends of the field, there's a big bump out of Logic. Opens up a little bit of space, but not enough. Swanson sends that on net, but Logic gets a quick enough turn to clear this away. But the Comets, lots of corner ball, and it's great to burn clock. When you have this advantage position, here's an opportunity for Mighty, who throws this one towards the net. It's off the back wall, and Swanson just needs to clear to get this game done and dusted. One more touch, and the Comets bring one back.
Bringing one back indeed, and it's like you said, we haven't seen this collection of Comets together. We've seen them be good on the offensive end. We've seen them be good on the defensive end. We've seen them be good in transition, but not all at once, and that is how they won this game. 4 big saves coming out from Swanson, denying almost every opportunity that arose, and that was that big difference maker for the Comets.
I mean, yeah, Swanson had 4 saves on 6 shots out of the Shadow. Obviously, one of them found their way home, and one of them was just a little bit wide, doesn't quite find a way to find the back of the net. And here's something interesting. Same shots, Comets and Shadow. It's just really that one save difference that makes the difference here in this game. Now, going forward, we've seen what the Comets can do. We've seen them be effective. Like you said, they're putting it all together. I think the last key here is to eliminate some of that corner ball in the offensive end. They spent a lot of time just rolling that ball through the corner just to have the Shadow send it right back out through that same corner. Effective when you have a lead and you just want to hold on to it and burn clock.
I'm already down.
But I'd like to see them get that ball to the mid a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier on the attack, and then jump on that in the shooting lane, finish it off for some extra goals here.
It's about finding that teammate in that defensive end, Lars, because solo plays are nice, but if you just end up shooting the ball over your opponent into their side, they have time to run back and get to it. But when you find those passing plays that start an offense and start a 2-on opportunity, that is where you start to differentiate yourself. Not only in the Foundation League, I mean, you're certainly in the Foundation League, but as you start to play further and further into this MMR, as Logic now in the corner has to beat Swanson, but a good 50 from both of their players, just kind of denying anything. King Panda, no boost, maybe no problem going for a touch off the backboard, denied again. Logic on top of that Octane, but loses a little bit of control. No, it's a fallacy.
Wow.
He's just baiting Swanson up, but Swanson baiting of his own. The true bait and switch. I don't know who was being baited there, but you know what? No goals to be had.
It was a great offensive play up through the transition to get those players beat, but they just couldn't reclaim control quick enough. That's an awkward set of words. Reclaim. Okay. Thank you. Whatever. Going forward, we're seeing good pressure out of the Comets here as this has been a little bit back and forth. And this, so far, I know we haven't seen a whole lot of Game 5 here, but it feels like the most even yet.
Well, you say that. Now the Shadow are putting this one on. That's dropping down, but it won't find a way in. Logic with another opportunity here, but King Panda standing tall. A little bit of Matumbo finger wave there. No, 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 he says in front of the net. Logic now with one to beat. He's got King Panda sitting near post, but a great touch behind him. Coming in is Mighty. A beautiful dish over the defender.
That's the speed and aggression that we know and love out of this Shadow team. Getting this one up high. It's a bit of an awkward position. It's past one. And Swanson counting on King Panda to get that one clear is a little bit too slow to get up to that ball on Mighty just barreling down on it.
The only term I have for that, Lars, is it was set up so that way Mighty can be an athlete. You throw it up, put it on the top shelf where the kids can't reach it, and that is exactly what happened. Now the Comets on the back foot once again in familiar territory, but they have been known to tie it up very quickly. Logic capitalizing on that lapse of any control at that moment. Now Mighty putting it on an open net opportunity, but just decides to put it off. Doesn't want to force any errant touches here. Logic running onto it here. Can't beat Swanson. Mighty, though, backing up his teammate beautifully, putting it back on. Panda can't get there. Swanson, no boost. They're stuck in a bad spot, and Mighty puts it on, finding a second goal here to put them up by 2.
I understand the logic of what just happened here with Swanson trying to rotate through on this one. No boost, thinks they can't get up to that, and just kind of counting that Mighty isn't challenging fast enough that they'll be able to catch and at least bait a 50 out. But unfortunately, that's not the reality of the Shadow
That's
here.
not the Shadow.
The Shadow are so quick. They're so aggressive. They see these opportunities and they pounce on them. They're so fast. Speed of light, speed of dark, whatever you want to call it, is representative of the Shadow. Swanson needed to get up a little quicker. And speaking of quick, here comes Logic to finish for a third.
Lightning might not strike twice, but the Shadows will strike thrice, Lars. Logic finding a way to put them up 3 big goals here in game number 5. They are beginning to run away with it as we begin to crest this halftime.
And you say Lightning may not strike twice, and as a Jet this week, I hope that's kind of true, but here we go. Coming up on halftime in game number 5. As this ball rolls in front of the net as well. Mighty doesn't find that touch. It's off the post. Swanson gets a huge 50 to get that one clear. The Comets stay alive for a little bit longer, not getting punished. Delay the pain, but they need to keep this one out of their end. And so far, this is the first time we've ever seen the Shadow really control in the offensive end. And for a team that needs a win right now in the Comets, that's not where they want to be.
Well, they haven't had a goal immediately, Lars. That's the thing, is they've had some control, but it usually ends up in a goal so fast. You talk about the speed, you talk about the quickness, the reads, the just wherewithal. That has been that Shadow's mantra right now, just making anything and everything work. Is now Logic putting it on here. Oh no, King Panda can't get there. Overruns it. I was going to call the save, but it snuck past him.
Unfortunately, it happens.
Hey,
it happens to all of us. It happens more often than any of us would like to admit. And for the Comets, it happened to King Panda here, kind of late in game number 5. Now down by 4. Got a bit of a mountain to climb to bring this one back. Got faith. We've seen them put up 3 in a game. Can they do 4? Yeah, I believe it. But against how the Shadow's playing right now, that's going to be extraordinarily difficult.
Well, it's going to be a kickstart here on the offense. They have some pressure, but they don't have the ball control. Logic putting it on. Mighty pulled back, though. But the Shadow up 4. They're up comfortable. I wanted to see that 2-on-none play just develop, but unable to find it. The Shadow now running back to their own end. Ken Panda can't get to it. Logic, the fade away 50, Lars. 50s it, turns ball cam off, and goes to boost. You gotta be kidding me, and he's still at midfield. A beautiful dish from Mighty to put it back to Logic. Got the boost, comes back. Swanson unable to find much there.
We ask these teams to find the midfield challenges, get the contain, get the repeat offensive pressure. And so far, For about 3 minutes and 39 seconds, that has been the Shadows' rule of thumb. That has been how they've played for the entirety of game number 5. The speed, the aggression, the 50s. And Foof, we've been around this block a million times. You know how I feel about 50s. The single most important individual mechanic in a team game of Rocket League is that 50-50 ability. And sometimes you don't even need it. As an unfortunate touch from Swanson will recenter here. Mighty will find it off the not quite a touch from King Panda.
It's a little bit overcommitted. The ball got a little bit too far behind him. And to kind of harp on what you're talking about, 50-50s, they are an incredible mechanic because the only time you can truly count on 50-50s, Lars, is the kickoff. It's the only time you know exactly where the ball is and you can get a read on your opponent as you're going towards it. Any other time, it is truly on the point, on the spot, and it's so. How can you adjust and make the play? And that is why it's so fun to watch, is Logic dunking it there over one. Swanson running back. The Comets, they have tried to stem the bleeding, but it has not worked. But this time Swanson puts it on, has another touch, a beautiful dish down. King Panda finding a way. A glorious pass there coming out from Swanson.
Yeah, great transition play here as Swanson gets that extra little touch to keep it low, but not so low that it rolls up the wall. It bounces out perfectly into the mid. They're too quick for the Shadow to get back in time. King Panda finds the finish, but 5 goals, 39 seconds. Doable? Technically, yes. Technically, yes. Probable?
No.
No.
Logic says no. And Logic also says no, because he scored another goal. But that makes it the Brazil 7-1. We are on a trip back down to South America. Logic putting that one in and making it comfortable. I don't want to say making it comfortable, just extending this lead back for the Shadow.
Well, I did ask for more comfort goals than just one. And the Shadow seemed to have taken that to heart, putting up 6. The only question now is, bags already packed. Do we hop on the flight, or is this going to be another canceled delay, whatever you want to call it, on the way down to Brazil? As the Comets making the argument to say, don't put those bags on the airplane just yet. Here's our offensive pressure. Let's try to get this one back and at least get one for the road.
Well, it is currently sitting at 7-1. Panda trying to find something. The Comets going to let this drop, and it falls down. The Shadow pack it in. They are going on, and they do a great job here showing themselves off. Number 1 team, deservedly so, I'd say, in this conference. They came out and put on a clinic against this number 4 team.
Yeah, the Shadow did an excellent job with the speed, the aggression, the challenges. They finally found a way to get those offensive rotations down with those midfield challenges to be super aggressive and just really hem the Comets back into their own end for such a long time. They were just trapped back there and allowed the Shadow to absolutely tee off on the net. And you can see how that's reflected in the scoreline. That being said, Comets, late season Foundation League teams, watch this Comets team, because the hardest thing in Rocket League to get kind of fixed and right in your head is the decision making and the habits you've built as players. Comets have the habits. They're struggling on speed. They're struggling on mechanical consistency. Those are relatively easy to fix. You're not going to do it in a single series, and then you can see how that's reflected here. But with plenty of time left in this season, you've already got the decision-making down. You've already got some of the rotational stuff down. You're looking for each other as a team. Spend some time in some training packs. Work on some speed and some recoveries. And those Comets are going to be absolutely deadly late season.
It's about finding your moments. And the Comets had a couple. They just could not capitalize on it. The Shadows taking full advantage of that. And so it is a 4-1 win for the Shadows as they walk away and continue their excellence, continue their dominance in this conference. And we are going to be taking a short break, and we'll be back with some more minor league action in a bit.